Well, howdy there, Internet students. Mr. Hermanson again. Today we're going to use that same formula we used in the last lesson. Only in today's lesson, instead of always finding the interest, we are going to find the other letters in the formula. Okay, and we're going to do that by doing backtracking, which I think you're somewhat familiar with. So here's our first problem. Dave earned $132 of simple interest on an investment of $600 at a rate of 4%. How long did it take him? So how long would be, we're actually looking for time here instead of looking for interest. So we're looking for t. All right, now normally you would take your t and you would multiply that t times your rate, 0.04, times your principal, which is $600. And if you do that, that will equal your interest, which is $132. So principal times rate times time equals interest, 132. Now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to backtrack. So I guess we could have filled these in. Remember that our rate is 4%, and you divide by that by 100 to get the decimal for 4%. Time we don't know. We know our interest is 132. Okay, now if I go backwards, I'm going to do the opposite. So I'm going to start with my interest 132, and I'm going to divide by this number, since I multiplied by this number to get 132. And I'm going to divide by this number, since I multiplied by 0.04 to get my answer. So going backwards, I'm going to divide by 0.04. And when I'm done, I'll end up at this box here, which is t. So basically, I'm going backwards now. And I'm doing that by doing the reverse process. So I'm going to do 132 divided by 600. Get my answer to that. That was the first step. And I'm going to divide that by 0.04. And that's 5.5, which is my time. Now, if you did all this right, if I take my time times my rate, my 5.5 times my rate times my principal, that should equal 132. And I think you'll find that it does. So I just figured out that my time is 5.5 years. All right, let's try another one here. In this one, we are looking for, it says we have $500 invested. That would be our principal at 4.5% simple interest. So we have our rate. So we're going to do that divided by 100. Which is 0.045. And we earned $202.50. So again, we're going to do principal times rate times time. I'm going to put my time in the first box so I can end up with that when I go backwards. So we're going to do time times our rate, which is 0.045. Times our principal, which is 500, and that should give us the interest, which is 202.50. All right, I'm going to let you take it from there, and then you can check back to see if you did your work right. But you're going to do backwards. Remember, when you reverse the process, you want the opposite operation. So if we're multiplying to get there, we want to divide when we go back. So in both these steps, since we were multiplying, we want to divide when we go back. So see if you can get the right answer. Now, if you want to put those steps in as you go, so when you're working backwards, you start with 202.50. And then you're going to divide that by your principal, which is 500. And if you want, you can write those down, 0.40 was that number again? 0.405. And then the second step is divide that by this number. And we end up with 9 for our time. All right. A deposit earned about 54.27. You have to recognize that that's your interest at 5.5% simple interest. So that is your rate. And after 2 years, so that is your time. And we want to know how much the principal was. So, so if I take my principal times my rate times my time, that will equal my interest, which is 54.27. Now working backwards, let's fill in these numbers. We don't know what P is, so I'll just put that in there. My rate is 5.5 divided by 100, which is 0.055. My time is 2 years, so we know that's 2. And my interest is 54.27. Okay, so times 0.055 times 2 years gives me this number. Now working backwards, I'm going to start with 54.27 in my calculator. I'm going to divide that by the years first, and that equals 27.135. And then I'm going to divide that by 0.055. Oops, I must have misstepped in there. So 57.27. I think I forgot to hit equals. 54.27 divided by 2 divided by 0.055. Okay, and so my principal amount is, that looks like I did it right, 493.36. Remember, you always round money to the nearest hundredth place. All right, so moving on, I'm going to let you try this one, see if you could set it up and find the right answer. I'll put my work in here so you could check. All right, if you did that right, you would take your 551.25 and you would divide that by 5 to get your 110.25, and then divide that by 0.45 to get back to your principal, which is 2,450. All right, on this next one, we're finding the interest rate. So we want to, so let's put this back, let's put this right here, the interest rate. That'd be R. And to get the principal, to get that R, we're gonna multiply the rate times the time times the principal, and that's going to equal how much you earn, which is 300. That's I in this problem. And we know the time is 8 years. So if I take my rate times my principal times my time, that will equal my interest, which is 300. All right. And my principal is 1250, and my time is 8. So if I work backwards, and I take 300 divided by 8, that'll give me this number that goes here, and then if I divide that by 1,250, that'll get me back to R. All right, so 300 divided by 8 divided by 1,250 equals 0.03. And then you just have to interpret that. That would mean 3% interest. All right. Why don't you try that one? And this one, Carol wrote a check for 107.25 to pay off simple interest on a loan. So that's her interest at a rate of 5.5%. How long? So you're looking for the time here. See if you can figure out how to set that up. Okay, so you should have started with this 107.25. Divide that by 600 gives you this amount. And then you divide that by 0.55. And that gets you the time, which is 3.25 years. We'll fill in these numbers. Okay, so this next one, we're finding the rate that was like we did right here. Why don't you give that one a shot? So if you did it right, you took 1,800 divided by 5,000 divided by 12, and that gave you 0.03, which as a rate is 3%. All right, so on a lot of these, it seems like since in the formula you're multiplying, when you're trying to find one of the missing numbers that's not the normal answer, you just divide by the other parts. That would be a good way to summarize this. All right, looks like you're ready to try some problems on your own. Good luck with that, and we'll talk to you soon.